Today's show is all about Thanksgiving side dishes. Instead of traditional side dishes, we're going to switch it up with some bold, fun flavors with smoked Gouda scalloped potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts with a hot bacon vinaigrette, and a delicious cranberry fizz to top off the meal. Stick around for those recipes. Hi, I'm Laura Will. I'm a wife, a mom, a blogger, and a busy bakery owner. I'm also a self-taught home cook, baker, and cake decorator all wrapped into one. My food style is easy and delicious. With the combination of whole foods and my quick tips and tricks, you too can cook the scratch-made simple way. All right, so this was such a popular recipe. I already did it on the show once before, but I'm actually bringing it back as a Thanksgiving side because so many people enjoyed it. I love it, my family loves it. I'm gonna show it to you again, and it all kind of falls along with the theme of not so traditional Thanksgiving sides. A lot of people don't serve Brussels sprouts at Thanksgiving, so this will be a fun surprise for your family and friends. And then we'll be doing smoked Gouda scalloped potatoes, which will be awesome. They're so good. And then that way you aren't getting stuck in your rut of, you know, green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, stuffing. I love all those things, and they're totally Thanksgiving. What says Thanksgiving more than all of those side dishes? But this year I like to switch it up, and it's kind of fun to bring some different sides along. So what I'm doing here is you can get a fresh stalk of Brussels sprouts at the store, or you can get, if you can't find a fresh stalk, not all grocery stores carry that. I like to do fresh, but if I can't find it, you can just get two 12 to 16 ounce bags at the store, and those will work. You'll just de-thaw them, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And I'm just chopping all of my Brussels sprouts in half because we're gonna roast these on a roasting sheet. This is one of my favorite recipes. I love this one. And every time, I really am going to be making this for Thanksgiving too. And every time I make this for a holiday, my whole family, the whole pan, I make double or triple this recipe because it's gone. And anytime people are taking leftovers, they want to take it. So if you try this, I guarantee a lot of people will ask you for the recipe. And we will be putting this one on Facebook, on our Facebook page for sure. So if you're looking for that, we'll put that up on the end of the show and show you how to get a hold of it. All right, so I'm down to my last Brussels sprout. What you're gonna do next then is pour a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on your baking sheet. I like to put a little bit down because you wanna make sure your Brussels sprouts aren't sticking. I kind of spread it around like this, make sure I'm coating it. And I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. That's what you're gonna be baking your Brussels sprouts on. So you just pick all these up, transfer them all onto the baking sheet. Right, and then you're going to drizzle a little more extra virgin olive oil on top of these because you want these to crisp up and brown. So I like to just kind of drizzle mine along here. Don't need a ton, tablespoon or two. And then you need to season these, obviously. So we're gonna give it a nice sprinkling of salt. All right, and then some fresh cracked black pepper. All right, and then I like to do a little bit of garlic powder. So you'll do a pretty generous sprinkling of that along the pan here. And then I like to get paprika. We'll do the same thing. Okay, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of minced onion flakes as well. Okay, and then I'm just gonna give these a quick toss with my hands to kind of evenly distribute all of these seasonings in that olive oil, because you want all of your Brussels sprouts to get nice and tasty and coated in all of this good stuff. All right, spread it out evenly, and then all I'm gonna do is just pop this in the oven then. Again, that's 400 degrees for 20 minutes, and that should give them a nice chance to brown and kind of crisp up a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna set my timer here for 20 minutes, and then while these are baking in the oven, you're gonna grab a pot, and we're gonna start roasting our bacon because this is where our hot bacon vinaigrette is gonna come in. So on this plate, I have an entire package of bacon. You're gonna dice this up, and we're gonna start frying that in our pan. So I just like to chop pretty like little pieces, but not too small, because you want these to cook up enough to where you're gonna have pieces all throughout your dish. Not teeny tiny like little bacon bits, but big enough that you'll have a little bit of crunch. All right, so you'll fry this all up until it's nice and golden brown and getting crispy. And then you're gonna grab a slotted spoon. I like to turn my heat down at this point because when we add our vinegar in and everything, you're gonna be using this bacon fat, so reserve the bacon fat. We're gonna get all the bacon out, put it on a paper towel lined plate. That'll soak up some of the grease. Oh, it smells so good in the kitchen right now. Smelling bacon reminds me of my papaw's house growing up. My papaw loved bacon and he made it every single morning. So this always reminds me of being a little kid at his house. Lots of good memories. Okay, so I've got all my bacon bits out. And like I said, you're gonna be reserving this delicious bacon fat because it's gonna be the base of our vinaigrette. It's a hot bacon vinaigrette, so that's why you need some of that bacon fat. And again, that's why I turned it down because you don't want this to be too hot whenever you're adding all of your other ingredients in. So I'm gonna put this in the sink. And then what you're going to do is you're gonna put in 3 tablespoons of Dijon mustard. You'll just put this right in your pan like that. You can hear it sizzling. And then we're going to put in 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar. I'm gonna do next is a 1/2 cup of balsamic vinegar. So you're just gonna pour this in your 1/2 cup. Vinegar is it's tangy and sweet, and the balsamic gives it a really nice, oh, it's so good. It blends with the brown sugar and the mustard, and it makes this like nice, tangy, sweet, delicious sauce. So you're gonna wanna season this at this point. So I'm gonna do some salt, good amount, maybe somewhere between a few teaspoons to a tablespoon, because that's going to be covering your whole dish. So you want that to be seasoned well. And then fresh cracked black pepper, of course. And that is your sauce. You're going to love it. It is so good. And we're going to let this sit on, we're going to go on a break, and I'm going to let this simmer on the stove. You want it to have a nice little tiny bubble. I've got mine on low to medium heat. You don't want it on high. It's going to scald and burn. You just want it to be a nice sizzle. That's going to cook your vinegar down, and all of your ingredients are going to blend together and make a nice syrupy sauce. That's exactly where you want it to be. So we're going to let this cook a while. When we come back, I'm going to assemble all of this together and show you what it's supposed to look like. You don't want to miss that. Stick around. Okay, welcome back. I just took my roasted Brussels sprouts out of the oven, transferred them to a bowl. I poured our nice hot bacon vinaigrette right over top of the whole dish and sprinkled in that reserved bacon, and now I'm just stirring it all together. That's all you're gonna do is just put all those components together, stir them up, and it smells amazing, it tastes amazing. I love this side dish, and it's such a nice, unexpected twist to take to a Thanksgiving meal or have at your own home. I'm gonna take a taste because I love this. And I want to make sure it's all distributed. Make sure it's cool. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Oh, you have to make this for Thanksgiving, I'm telling you. All right, so I'm going to keep this warm. I'm going to cover it up with some tin foil, and I'll set this aside so we can taste everything later. But now we're going to be moving on to our smoked Gouda scallop potatoes. This is another one that is so good. The smoked Gouda is nice and smoky and tasty, and it's a flavor that you wouldn't really be expecting for scalloped potatoes. We can't quite tell what it is, but it's amazing flavor. So I was peeling these potatoes over the break while I was letting my vinaigrette go. I'm going to finish up peeling this last potato here. And what this takes is about 6 large russet potatoes. Okay, so what you're going to do then is you're going to want to rinse these well. And if you're making like a traditional 9x13 scalloped potato pan, 6 of these should be good. If it seems a little low in your pan, you can do another potato. If you're feeding a crowd, just do 2 pans of this, and that'll work just fine. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna start dicing these, slicing them thinly, exactly how you would for scalloped potatoes. You want them to be nice and thin because you want them to be able to soak up all of your nice, delicious, cheesy sauce that we're gonna be making. And you don't want them to be too thick because you want them to be able to cook through and soften. right, now that I got all of my potatoes chopped, you want them nice and thin like this, just like scalloped potatoes. We're gonna start building our layer of potatoes in our dish. So you want to do a little bit of olive oil in your pan because you don't want them to stick. So I'm just gonna rub this around. Make sure you get it up all this over the sides because this is gonna be nice and cheesy and yummy, and you don't want any of that sticking to the bottom of your pan. So that looks good to me. Then you're going to layer this one layer at a time. You're gonna put a layer of potatoes down, and in between each layer, it's important that you salt and pepper each layer because you want to be seasoning your whole dish. If you don't do that, your potatoes will be kind of bland, and nobody wants bland potatoes. And this is so good, I promise you. I know they have boxed scallop potatoes at the store. Don't even worry about buying those. I don't want to eat dehydrated potato slices. Do you guys? I would rather have the real thing. And this is honestly not that much harder than doing something quick like that. I know it can be a little overwhelming to have a bunch of side dishes going on, but this is well worth your time. You're just gonna assemble it, pour some nice delicious cheese sauce over this, and it's gonna be so, so good. Okay, so we're gonna do salt, and then black pepper, and then we're gonna start this whole process over again until we have the whole pan layered with our potatoes. Layer of potatoes, salt and pepper. Another layer of potatoes, salt and pepper. All right, so I'm just putting my last little bits on here of potatoes, and then I'm gonna salt and pepper my last layer. So a generous sprinkling of salt right on top. And then fresh cracked black pepper one more time. So that can seem like a lot of salt and pepper. I promise it's not. You need to season your potatoes or they're gonna be really bland. All right. Now we're gonna start our cheese sauce. It's our smoked Gouda cheese sauce. It is so good. Smoked Gouda is this nice, like unexpected flavor. It's cheesy and it's smokiness, but you're not gonna quite know what it is when you're eating it. It goes really well with this dish. Okay, I'm gonna grab a spoon. We're just gonna melt this butter down. This is gonna be the base of our sauce. 3 tablespoons of salted butter. All right, and then 3 tablespoons of butter actually flour, sorry, with our butter. 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of flour, because we're gonna be making a roux, and this is always how you start out a roux, is with butter and flour. We're gonna stir that together, and then you're gonna put in a ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg is a really nice flavor when it comes to cheese sauces and stuff. This is almost like a fondue. A lot of times when people are doing fondue and things like that, they'll put a little bit of nutmeg because it blends really well together with your cheeses, especially nice sharp cheeses. Seems unexpected and kind of strange, but I promise the nutmeg is a really nice tasty addition to this. Stir that in. You're gonna keep letting your flour and butter cook together because you wanna cook out that flour taste. Then I'm gonna get some salt. Always need salt and pepper. Get a good sprinkling of salt, like that. And then I'm gonna do fresh cracked black pepper, of course. Sprinkle this in. I've got this on a medium-high heat, so it's gonna be bubbling and browning a little bit. If it seems like, you know, it shouldn't be burning, but if it's bubbling, that's good. You want it to cook down. All right, so now that it's brown like this, I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of minced garlic. This is gonna go a long way in this dish. It's so good. So I take mine off the heat because your garlic will cook up really quickly. I don't even leave it on. I don't want it to burn or scald and give my garlic a sour taste. So it's just like this. Then what you're gonna do is add in a 1.5 cups of heavy cream. You're gonna slowly pour it in and keep stirring the whole time you're slowly pouring this in. So we've got all of this blended together now. So now that we have our 1/2 cup of heavy cream, we're gonna put in a cup of chicken stock. So grab this and you'll do the same process all over again. Slowly pour this in and let it incorporate in with the cream. All right, so now all of this is blended together and it's nice and creamy. and it's thick because we had our flour in there. And what you're going to do next then is start adding your cheeses. So I'm going to take my spoon out. I have a cup of fresh grated, extra sharp white cheddar. So I'm going to put that right in. If you don't want to use white cheddar, that's okay. You can use, regular cheddar. Either or, you just want a nice sharp cheddar for the flavor. So I'm going to stir this in, let it melt through. I'm going to do a cup of smoked Gouda. I always take the time to buy my cheese in a block and shred it myself because it's a lot fresher that way than buying pre-shredded. It always just has a really nice flavor with fresh grated cheese in a dish, so that's kind of my favorite thing. That's always my tip, is to do fresh grated cheese, but if you have bagged and it's faster, that's okay. All right, so this is a nice, thick, creamy, cheesy, smoky sauce that we're gonna pour all over the top of our potatoes, and it is going to be so good. All right, you're gonna take this and you're gonna pour it right over top of these. Okay. So I'm just gonna smooth this over my potatoes and make sure all of the holes are filled in with all of that tasty cheese sauce. All right, that looks good. And then you're gonna top this off with fresh grated Parmesan cheese. Sprinkle it all around the dish. And this will get bubbly and cheesy and brown and so good. All right, and that is it, guys. I'm gonna pop this in the oven at 400, and you're gonna bake this for 45 minutes to an hour. You need to have your potatoes tender. So I check it around 45 minutes. If it looks nice and brown and bubbling, it should be good. It might take a little longer. So we're gonna go on a quick break, let these bake up, and then whenever we get back, I will show you a nice cranberry fizz drink, especially for Thanksgiving. Stick around, we'll see you when we get back. Welcome back. I'm just juicing a couple fresh oranges to get about a half cup of orange juice because we're going to be putting this in our cranberry fizz drink. So basically all it is cranberries, ginger ale, and a little bit of fresh orange juice, and it tastes so good and so fresh, and it's nice and tart because of the cranberries, and I absolutely love it. So you're going to put a cup of fresh cranberries in your little blender. You can use a blender or you can use a food processor, whatever works. And then I'm going to measure out a half a cup of my orange juice here, fresh squeeze. Okay. And if you don't have fresh squeezed orange juice on hand, that's okay. You can use store-bought, but this is really, really fresh. And fresh always winds up tasting so much better, so that's why I take the time to do it. And then if you have orange peels, you can kind of peel them and put them in ice cubes and put them in your pitcher. That would be really pretty as well, along with some fresh cranberries. So this is gonna be loud, just hold on for a second. All right, perfect. And if a little bit squirts out, that's okay, no big deal, but you do need some liquid in there to break up these cranberries. So I'm gonna do it one more time just to make sure we have it ground up enough. All right, there we go. And you're gonna take that out, and then you're going to take an entire 2-liter bottle of ginger ale. I prefer ginger ale because the ginger and the cranberry taste really nice and tart together. And it winds up almost being kind of like a sparkling cider. So I'm just pouring this in another pitcher because we're going to transfer it into another one because we're going to be using a sieve to get all the cranberries out. All right, so now that I have my ginger ale poured out, I'm going to put my cranberry and orange juice mixture right in. It's going to fizz up. That's why I'm putting in a nice big pitcher. All right, and you're going to get all the cranberries out like that. It smells so good. All right, and then you're gonna stir this all together, and you wanna incorporate all of that tart cranberry juice and that tart orange juice, and it'll actually start turning your ginger ale pink, and it's really pretty, it looks really nice. All right, so then we're gonna pour this into our pitcher that we'll be serving it out of, right here. And then I like to get a sieve, and then you're gonna get all of that cranberry out so all of the chunks are not going in your drink. See how pretty it is? It's pink, tart, tasty. All right, I'm gonna put this over here then. Put that. And then what I like to do is I like to put a couple fresh cranberries right on top because it looks nice and pretty. It's gorgeous. It's gonna look so pretty on your spread for your Thanksgiving table. And then you can pour it in some nice glasses, just like this. And then when you pour it, some of your cranberries will go in, and each guest will get a little bit of cranberries in their glass, and it looks pretty and it tastes so good too. And how simple is that? So fast. All right, there we go. Next, we're gonna be pulling out our scalloped potatoes that we put in before the break. I can smell them. The whole kitchen smells amazing. You can smell that smoked Gouda in the air. Oh my goodness. Oh, they're perfect. Sizzling, bubbling. They're nice and brown and crisp on top. They smell amazing. All right, and then we have our roasted Brussels sprouts with our hot bacon vinaigrette. And how delicious does this look, guys? This will accompany any turkey, make an entire meal absolutely delicious. And I'm gonna dig in and serve myself some of this. We're gonna get our Brussels sprouts. And as always, I will have these recipes for you on our Facebook page. You just go to facebook.com/scratchmadesimple. You can give us a like, follow along. If you're baking or cooking any of these dishes, hashtag it Scratch Made Simple. We love to see what you're doing in the kitchen and follow along with you. Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. And if you try it, let us know. Post it on our page. We love to see what you're doing in the kitchen. All right, here we go. I'm gonna dig in and have some of this. It is so, so, so good. I promise you'll love these. And then, gonna wash it down with a little bit of cranberry. Great, so good with that ginger ale. You're gonna love it. All right, guys, well, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful holiday with your families, and as always, I'll see you back in the kitchen.